Okay, right off the bat here, we are swapping our battle speed and mission speed to fastest we can go for message speed, and slowest we can go for battle speed for certain reasons. Battle speed is because, well, we want to be able to attack the enemy before they can get enough hits, before they can get more hits off than we do. So that's one of the reasons for it. This will switch memories, cursor the memory, so we don't have to do as much moving around the menu. Now, during this upcoming level guards fight, we are taking one side out of the pincer first, then the Lobo. The Lobo has no run flag, so we can't exactly run away with our Vixen Wedge. This mystery person who, I don't know, do we know who she is at all, Valdecorn?
Not yet. We won't know for at least a few minutes now. She actually has no idea of what she's doing really either.
Very true.
Having a little trouble with push to talk tonight.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we got another fight here that is going to be based around dealing with the enemies that have no run flags. Both of the Vomomoths both have a no run flag attached to them, so you want to kill them off with Wedge and Vix so that you can start preparing their ATBs in order to run away and concentrate all of the experience into our mystery woman.
The main reason we want to do this is because of a certain boss fight coming up, and we don't have her up to level 5. We can't do a certain amount of damage to do our quick kill in quick order.
Yeah, that's also true. And it reduces the number of fights that we need to take after this fight in order to set us up for raising our mystery character up to level 6 in order to affect our future levels, or our future characters that will be joining us. Here we see Tina going into the Welk fight, where she's going to, I assume, attempt for the quick kill.
Bed's also entering his Welk fight and probably going for the same thing. Ooh, she gets the first attack off. Very nice.
So a lot of this is coming down to attempting to make use of weight tricks. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, Slimer, ouch.
Getting the slime. So that's going to slow down the ATB. But hopefully it happened at a proper time that it's not going to be cause too much issues. And it looks like it worked out. It doesn't appear that he's going into the shell. Unfortunately, it looks like BenShow ended up with it in the shell.
Yeah.
Still ended up with that fire beam going through.
Tina got very lucky with her ATB on Welk. Welk shot at an ATB in the head.
Yeah. So essentially, what ended up happening with what Tina did there was that she fired 2 tech missiles beforehand in order to do a significant amount of damage, and then timed that fire beam that struck the shell in order to interrupt the actual ATB, which would have caused Welk to hide in its shell the way that it did on Ben's.
You also forgot to mention that we were weight tricking in the menu also to make sure that we could make sure that while the attack animation was going on, none of its attacks, none of its ATB was increasing as well.
Yep, that's absolutely true. Now we get a nice little cutscene where, Vix and Wedge just magically disappear.
Where do you think they go off to?
They're just giving a nice little vacation. I'm sure that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably off in some resort, someplace, having a nice time.
Maybe they got sent over to Final Fantasy VIII.
Maybe. Now we have here on Tina's side the realization of the slave crown and our character, Terra, or T for short. Basically, as the text scrolls across the screen, we shorten the name to say frames, and this overall saves us about 30 plus seconds throughout the run.
Yeah, we do this with most of the characters that you pick up during the game in order to just save writing out their names, because it does print one character at a time instead of just all showing up at once. Now we'll see on Tina's screen that she's crossing the bridge and heading up towards up through the cave in order to escape the guards. And she's going to fight all of the battles she encounters here because she is on a step route that has been manipulated before she started the race. And I believe BenShow is doing the same. I'm not 100% sure if he
he's on step route too. I didn't see any encounters in the cave and when you were going in with Terra in the magic armor.
Yeah, it looks like he's definitely on the step route. We're both getting the encounter at the same spot.
So, as we're just reversing to this cave, we're going to try to get as close as we can to the very top, but these guys will be moving back and forth in a small spot to make sure they do achieve level 6. There's a flag up here that if we cross it, we will initiate the next cutscene.
Yeah. If Tina was to go up one more square, she would have initiated that cutscene and caused herself some extra troubles along the way, because when our next character joins the party, he would not be of high enough level, and it would kind of chain through, because the idea is that we get her to level 6 so that he comes into the party at level 7. Level 7 or level 8? I think he comes in at level... Is he?
Yeah, level 7. Also, because Terra is level 6, we get this spell called Antidote, or Antidote. This will come in handy much later when the next sections of the run. And Ben has level 6 as well now, so he's on his way as well.
Well, now we got a nice little cutscene to learn what was actually happening to T the entire time while she was under the control of the slave crown.
I think we should mention real fast that as of this flashback, you can see that Kefka is in the magic armor. The magic armor is actually a status effect, and it's forced upon you in the game. Also, should be noted that Kefka is actually in your party during this scene.
Yes, and that's something that we actually do take advantage of a little bit later in the run. Even if you're in a battle against Kefka, when he is in that sprite character, he is considered part of your party. Ben is only about 20 to 30 seconds, maybe, I think.
Yeah, that's about right. And here we have our next character on Tina's side.
Yes. This is our wonderful treasure hunter.
Yes, who doesn't really do much of any treasure hunting.
I mean, he could do some treasure hunting if we really allowed him to. There's no time for it right now. He's got better things to do with his time.
Yeah, of course not. He's just too busy. He's on the go. Go, 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 go.
All right, and this will bring us into our first little section here that is one of the multi-party battles that we have that are one of the rare things that Final Fantasy VI does a little bit different than a lot of the other games.
Seems Locke is definitely in trouble, but wait, what's this coming our way? It's our favorite group of creatures, the Moggles.
Now we get the assistance from the adorable Moogles that will fill all three parties. Which is interesting because all of the ones that are not ones that can become permanent party members are actually placeholders for all the other party members that you haven't gotten yet.
Besides Amuro. Amuro does not have a placeholder at all.
Oh, really? Did not know that one.
So yeah, as you can see, we are avoiding these monsters. As they move down across the screen, as soon as a leg is out, we can bypass them. It's the only time we can do that.
Tina pulls off the movement perfectly there to get into the fight. And she is trying to manipulate by running away at the start in order to get that can't run away message to show up across the top of the screen in order to hopefully delay and prevent the Marshal from doing the worst attack that he possibly can for you, which is his net, which is a stop effect. And if he lands that on Mog, then it puts you into a lot of trouble.
Yes, she does also stole his equipment for later in our run for other characters, and she is through. And Ben just got netted on Mog, no less. But he manages to get the equipment off.
It's good that he got the equipment off, but I feel like we almost commentator cursed just by mentioning net existing.
Yes, I know. As you can see during Ben's fight, we also have Cuckoo and Kutan attacking the Lobos. Cuckoo and Kutan are actually the weaker of the party members, so we take out the weaker monsters with them.
Yeah. Mog and Kupan both have much stronger weapons, so they generally end up being provided as our main DPS during these fights. Unfortunately, with Mog netted, it does make that fight take significantly longer. Alright, it looks like Tina's going out into the world map now. And she will be following a very specific set walking path.
And this path has certain areas which are free spots, which won't have encounter threat increase on them.
Yeah, and it's not possible to even get an encounter on those tiles at all. Usually it's a spot where it looks like two patterns are or two different types of tiles are intersecting. Usually on an angle or something like that. That's tends to be where the encounterless tiles are.
So here we go into what some people call Storytime Castle or Cutscene Castle. For about the next 8 or so minutes, we're going to be stuck in conversations and heavy movement. That's about it.
You're welcomed into the lovely Figaro Castle, where you meet at least one more of our characters and get a cutscene to introduce another.
So what do you think this guy's called?
Engineer Man.
I think Batman would suffice.
That works too. I mean, he is rich. I guess the only difference is that he's royalty as opposed to Batman.
But Batman's billionaire. He's considered Gotham royalty.
Alright, I'll allow it. Although I think Batman's lines tend to have a little bit more success than Edgar's here.
That's true. Edgar seems to have struck out.
He did have that unfortunate effect, although, as T said, she is not a normal girl, so she does not quite find him dashing at this point.
Of course. So we are now just moving off through the castle to go to our next story objective, which is, here in a few moments, a woman called Matron.
Yes, the matron of the castle, who introduces you to Batman's brother. Who these two brothers are really the main source of damage for our for this entire run, really.
Yeah, they have a lot of DPS behind them, between their blitzes and their tools.
As well as just weapon options that Edgar can equip as well.
Oh, indeed, along with relics. But we're getting ahead of ourselves now, aren't we?
A little bit. But, you know, we got to do something to fill the time during all these cutscenes.
Yep, and now we're heading back up to see the king again. And we're bypassing the Chancellor quite easily. He does have a small chance of getting in your way.
Yeah, just trolling you by wandering into your path. That's another thing to mention, is that if Tina did have to go around, that wouldn't affect her step route here, because this is not an area where you can get into battles. It doesn't affect your step route.
And here's everyone's favorite antagonist, Kefka, coming to inspect the castle, it seems like.
And the most iconic laugh, I think.
Yes, he has the most iconic laugh in Final Fantasy history. I don't think anybody else has a more iconic laugh.
No stare down for Tina. So it is possible, if you mash quickly enough when you speak to those two guards when you're turning around, that you actually end up managing to make the guards face each other. But it did not happen this time.
It's a rather frame-perfect trick at this point, I believe, isn't it?
Something like that. But you have to be very, very quick with mashing your next speak action to the other guard.
So yeah, we're moving here very quickly, and we're getting ahead of the lock somehow. But it doesn't seem to be the case in the next screen at all.
Well, the way that I see it is this actually just teaches you in advance that Locke actually just knows how to clip through people, and it's just a secret that's hidden there for you.
Ah, very interesting idea on that, and I think it plays into it very well. At the moment, tinahacks is ahead. So after all this conversation with Locke, we are about to take a short little nap and move on to our next section of game.
Now you see Edgar is woken up in a panic, not being entirely certain of what's going on. He finds the castle ablaze. Normally, your instinct would be to speak to Kefka, but that's not even necessary here. You can just walk up and speak to this guard, the soldier, and everything will continue on.
So how do you think the castle's on fire, though? It seems impossible with stone.
Look, we're in a place that has, like, magic and everything. I can't see everything as being that unbelievable.
I guess that's true.
This game is not bound by the normal laws of physics.
Here we have something else that's somewhat believable. A castle that submerges.
I feel like those fans on top, though, would be really, really hazardous when you're going under the sand.
Yeah, it seems that they would let more sand into the castle than trying to get rid of them.
I guess it would depend on what direction they're spinning in order to force the air out or in.
Yeah, true, very true. Now we're entering into a mini boss fight here with two Magitech armors. In this fight, we just want to attack with Edgar. We have his auto crossbow. It's non-elemental, non-split damage. It's based on physical damage. So 2 strikes from it and it's done. If we strike with terror with our fire, it will set off a 40-second cutscene.
Yeah, it is something worth watching if you're playing casually. However, in terms of a speedrun like this, we really don't want to see that happen. And the flag to trigger that will stay in place until you've reached South Figaro. So we don't want to use that through the cave or anything along the way to South Figaro, or you are stuck with an unfortunately long cutscene.
So we got more of a cutscene here talking about them taking her to see Bannon and her being scared and other stuff along the way. And it seems like they're just stopping here for a pit stop for some unknown reason, besides just talking more about the returners.
Unfortunately, Edgar said the wrong thing and may have upset Tara a little bit.
Yeah, quite so. He doesn't seem to be able to say the right things at all to her right now.
I think he's known as a bit of a ladies' man, but I think the money does most of the work for him.
Oh, yeah. Definitely say so. So right now we're going to the cave, and the first encounter should be right after we get into the spring here.
Looks like you nailed it.
Yep. This entire fight, we'll be fighting everything in the cave here, and we'll be using auto crossbow. The Blurs, though, if you have a low enough damage roll on the crossbow, will survive, and you need to queue up attacks from Terra and Locke.
Yeah, and we're fighting everything here for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, to gain a little bit more experience towards everything, but also to gain the money for a shopping trip that we are going to be doing once we get to South Figaro. Because it can be troublesome, definitely, if you end up a little bit short on cash before you manage to get through to South Figaro. I would also say that all of the monsters in here are much more beneficial for you to fight than anywhere outside. If you're outside and fighting, it tends to, like, the battles out here are not out on the world map are not really worthwhile as much. They don't give as much experience. They don't give as much gold, so it's more of a waste of time than fighting the ones in the cave.
Tina getting through the NPCs very cleanly, though, and she's buying her 3 sprint shoes. We're also changing our formation to have everyone in back. She didn't change Edgar, though, for some reason.
I wonder if she's going to be waiting to do that once she gets the Atlas armlet coming up.
That's very possible. We also hear take a chocobo, and well, the guy tells us how to ride it for some odd reason. We already know how to ride a chocobo, so why is he telling us?
Yep. He asks you, do you want me to teach you how to ride a chocobo? And never waits for the answer and just tells you anyway. I think he's a lonely man.
Must be. Must have no grandchildren.
Or just doesn't have a lot of business, so he's just like, well, hey, everybody needs to learn how to ride a chocobo, so I have to teach you.
Yes, indeed. Tina getting very lucky there with a side attack during the brawlers.
So here we're going to avoid fighting all the brawlers. They just aren't worth enough experience and gold based on the step route that we've got to really worry about it.
And Tina has gotten the Alice Armlet. Alice Armlet increases physical damage by 50%. So that will be put on Edgar to increase his auto crossbow damage by quite a fair margin.
It looks like she's just gonna leave Edgar in the front row just to not have to worry about changing rows with him at any point later on.
Yeah, that seems like the case. Now, all the fights outside the cave of the mountains we're going to take. The Tuskers are notoriously hard to kill, so we are going to queue up a fire attack to Terra in order to make sure that they die.
Well, the other reason that we're using the fire is because the part of the issue is that the Tuskers have a counterattack against physical attacks. So you want to avoid, like, if a direct melee attack, they will counterattack you. So instead of taking the unnecessary damage from that, we use a fire attack, and then we don't have to worry about it.
The counterattack does roughly 60 to 80 damage as well.
Yeah, and as you can see, we don't have a lot of health to really deal with that.
Yeah, we are definitely hurting on high HP characters at this point in time versus what Tuskers can do. And Tina's swapping her equipment for her characters out right in this combat turn.
You know, and that is one nice thing that is available in the Super Nintendo Final Fantasy games is the ability to swap out your weapons in combat. Saves you the time of actually having to go into the menu and manually swap.
They actually allowed that in 4 and 5, I believe, as well.
Yep.
Now, as you saw with Tina's screen, we encountered a plant monster called Trillions. These things are nasty customers. They can bane touch you, which gives you poison. And we don't want to be poisoned.
Absolutely not. Not only is it going to drain your health, but it also makes navigating the actual maps a little bit trickier because of the simple fact that you end up being forced. The screen goes very blurry as you're trying to move.
We also should note that we are supposed to be getting up to a certain levels here. Edgar is supposed to be level 10, Locke level 9, Terra level 8. This is all for making sure we get our next character, Sabin, at level 11.
Yeah. So the way that the game determines it, and Tina finally ended up getting Bane touched here. One other thing is that you want to make sure that you have at least 20 MP going into this fight with Terra in order to ensure that you have enough damage to get through the fight with her fires.
Fight with herself? You mean Vargas?
Yeah. That is what I mean. My brain is not fully functioning today. But yeah, the way that the formula is set up for new characters joining your party is that it takes the average level of all the characters that you have and then adds 2. So by having them at 8, 9, and 10, you add those up, divide it by 3, and then add 2, you get 11 out of that.
So Tina was able to run away from these last 2 fights before Vargas, but she still got Bane touched and leaves over 17 MP, cutting it very close. But she's probably able to get this very easily.
But this may be a little bit of time that that Ben can make up, as long as all of his fights go well along the way.
Yep. Now with the eye pose here, we just want to get rid of them as fast as we can. So we're just going to fire on them and all crossbow them. And after those 2 hits, they're beaten. We also put Locke in the front row for extra damage on Vargas.
Yeah, and we try to do it in a specific order so that we're not wasting time waiting for other characters. So you use a fire from Terra first, and then the auto crossbow, and then the row. in order to not have to wait, because we don't want to waste an extra auto crossbow attack into the Ipoos for no reason.
Another round or two here, and we should be partway through Vargas. Oh, one town. We're right there now.
Some good damage rolls. So far, Tina is getting through nicely, and now we are officially introduced to Sabin, our new damage dealer.
So Sabin has an interesting mechanic to him. He has a skill called Blitz, and this you'll be able to do. You use your combat. You use something like you do with fighting video games like Street Fighter. Put in the command and you do your attack. There's an unfortunate little problem with this. If you move too fast and press A at the same time, you can invalidate your Blitz.
Yeah, and you have to use a very specific Blitz. Even though Sabin knows other blitzes, you have to use Pummel specifically in order to end that fight. You can't really end up actually doing enough damage to kill Vargas. He has something in the realm of like 40,000 HP, but a Pummel is his weakness that instantly kills him.
So we got about another minute of cutscene here, then we'll be able to get on our way to our next destination, which is the Returner's hideout. Hopefully, Tina saves before she goes in.
Yeah, there is a small chance of getting a soft lock in the Returner's hideout. Partly if you do not mash fast enough or anything else. But
and once again, we are seeing that she's walking a certain way on the map, because, of course, on this route there is those tiles again.
It was unfortunate for Ben. He didn't quite get the Doomfist skip.
Yeah, but he still gets through it, and his Vargas is down.
Nope, that's Vargas down. Which is not too bad. Still only about 30 seconds behind, which, honestly, there are a number of spots where that can just make up just for things that are out of both runners' control.
Yeah, and something in the next coming battles could swing it if things go awry.
Absolutely. There are plenty of things still to come that could trip up even the best of runners and cost plenty of time. So once again, we enter another cutscene for meeting Bannon and him informing Tara that, she's the only hope left for the world.
Yeah, it seems like he's really trying to lay it on thick to her to get her to agree, but that's kind of wrong in a sense.
And that's what the rest of them are trying to say, is they don't wish to be those people.
Yeah, they want her to decide.
But once you finish with that cutscene, you do have to go around and speak to the other members of your party that came with you. And then, depending on whether she's trying to save 7 frames or not, it looks like Tina is going for the 7-frame save strat, where you go out and talk to Ben and say no the first time, and then collect the items in the upper room and speak to the guard that normally gives you your Genji glove.
That was nice and clean.
It's pretty nice. The one NPC was trolling her a little bit, so may have cost a touch of time, but we'll see what happens.
So after we say no to Bannon 3 times, we get shoved into this little cutscene here, which is actually shorter than what we would have gotten when we said yes. We said yes, we've gotten this long minute cutscene and gotten another outlet called the Gauntlet, which is unfortunately broken in the wrong way. It does not increase your attack power. The Genji Glove, on the other hand, is broken in the right way, which is to say that when it's used, it does not decrease your accuracy with weapons.
No. Another thing to note in that situation is if you do say no to Bandon the first time, go and get the Genji Glove and then say yes, you do not get both items. You will only get the Genji Glove in that case.
Okay, since we were on step route here, we are going to be saving here, and also as well as making sure to re-equip our guys accordingly with the glove and other things, and then we're going to be resetting the game. This is because we've reset the game twice. We get to a certain seed, and our river, if we get the NPC on the rug there, will only give us a 2 encounter river, and that will get us clear sailing on to Ultras. These 2 encounters we get are actually already predetermined by the system.
Yeah, you want to move as soon as that NPC moves onto the rug. That is when you leave the room and you continue on to hop onto the raft to determine your encounter seed, or I guess your river encounters.
This is the first of the 2 that we're supposed to get.
Yep, and this one we will run away from every time. The second one, we'll see what kind of strategy Tina is using, if she's going to go with a level 11 Edgar or a level 10 Edgar strat.
Looks like she's going for the level 11 strat.
It does appear that way. So, in this case, you run everybody else away from the battle and you kill the pterodons with Edgar by yourself, so that you get all of the experience and for him, and that will give him straight to level 11.
And this will help out our other characters down the road a little bit as well, with when it comes to levels, but not by much. So there are 2 pit stops along the way to Ultras, and this is our first one. The next one is coming up here at our next fork in the road.
Yep, so you just go left and left at both forks in the road in order to just get the fastest route through. And then from here, we'll see if Tina's going to take a safety save. Looks like she most definitely will, since it does make sure that if anything does go wrong with Ultros, it would be a shame to have to go back through all those cutscenes again.
Yeah, it would be she would be wasting about 10 minutes if she had to go through all the cutscenes again.
All right. Our most wonderful octopus friend, Ultros. Looks like we have both that are going to be using the level 11 Edgar strats.
Now, as you can see on Tina's side, we are aura bolting Ultras. That is Edgar's second blitz. It's also a more magical attack version than his opponent, which is more physical.
Yeah, that is one thing that is slightly different in this game that is a little bit unexpected, is that when you're using any of most of Sabin's blitzes, they are not actually physical damage attacks. They are actually increased by his magic stat.
It looks like Ben unfortunately got a few more encounters on his river. And Tina, of course, did not get Delicious Morsel tech skip at all either. But she's through her Ultros fight, and we're about to start the 3 scenarios.
Nope. So here you get a nice, funny little cutscene where Sabin gets typically overeager, ready to go for everything. But it doesn't quite work out for him, and he goes off flying in the distance, separating himself from the rest of the party.
Yep, and here we are transitioning now right to the 3 scenarios. As of this point, we are going to start with Sabin's scenario. While it's the longest of the 3, it's also the one that yields us with a valuable item for the other 2, the smoke bombs.
Yeah, it most definitely is a very beneficial item that makes life much easier and much safer for the rest of the run. As we see on Tina's stream, she is picking up Shadow. You'll notice that she does not even shorten Shadow's name at all. That is just because of the fact that he doesn't have enough dialogue for the time that it would take to erase his name to be saved.
He only has 3 mentions of his name in the text boxes anyway, so there's no real point to it. And Ben entering his ultras right now.
Yeah, hopefully this one goes nice and smooth for him. He did have an unfortunate number of encounters on the river.
He did, unfortunately. She is now entering the Imperial camp, where we get to witness about 8 minutes of cutscenes. As River calls this, it's camp cutscene.
Yep, sounds about right. So we get to enjoy a whole lot of mashing if you are the runner. And so we sit, we mash through, and then you find out more and more about what's going on in different areas. And we get introduced to another character.
Ben is through his ultras fight. No fuss, no muss there. And here we are at Doma Castle, and what is going to be an assault upon it by the Empire.
Yeah, the seemingly most uncoordinated attack with, you know, couple wandering back and forth.
One running into a wall.
Yeah, desperately trying to climb a wall without a rope or ladder or anything.
Who is this gentleman coming out right now that we see?
We have our wonderful mustache man himself.
Yes, this is Cyan, and he is somewhat pivotal to this run because he allows us to deal more damage later on down the road. We also at this moment take our time to re-equip him with sprint shoes and change our battle speed to 1. We do that because we want this fight to go fast, and so
yeah,
it also benefits her greatly because she got a preemptive there, so she can automatically get a retort off.
Yeah, the main advantage in this case to having your battle speed at 1 here is you want the enemy APTB to fill up as quickly as possible, because battle speed is more of a difficulty level in this game, because it changes actually the speed at which enemy ATB fills up, but not your own party's ATB.
It also should be noted that she got the black belt instead of the Phoenix Down. It's a 7th, 8th chance to get the black belt, and she wants that more than the Phoenix Down at this point.
Yeah, the black belt is nice for selling for a nice chunk of change. And one of the other options here, this is where we were talking about earlier that changing the battle speed and Kefka being in your party does make a difference. It'll be coming up shortly after this next little bit of cutscenes. And here we have Kefka being warned, or having been warned to not do some terrible things, and deciding he's going to do it anyway because he doesn't care.
Yep, and now we're into this fight. Since Kefka is a member of our party, like we said earlier, battle speed doesn't apply here, so we're going to leave it at 1.
Yeah. Another thing to mention in this case is anytime you have those chat boxes popping up in battle like that, you don't have to mash A through it. If you just hold down the A button, it will instantly trigger it on the frame that it's available to move along. And then we have the hero of the day, Interceptor, blocking that attack. So now that we've finished these 2 fights, now Tina should be menuing to reset our battle speed, unequip Shadow so that we can steal his ninja gear.
And we equip this happen. And this fight is basically you want to hit the 2 guys in front, then you throw the air lance we got earlier at one of them, and the other one just do a blitz at.
Yeah, usually we opt for a pummel because it is a much faster animation. So that way you get it quickly. These Templars specifically have low enough HP value for pummel to kill, but I don't believe that the Cadet, I think it's called, later on, that one has more HP that will not die to a pummel.
Yeah, I think that is roughly 20 to 30 more HP. I have to check that up. What's Kefka doing here? Did they just put something in the river?
It does seem to have changed color a little bit.
Looks kind of like Kool-Aid.
Some delicious, delicious Kool-Aid. Everybody's excited.
Everybody come get some Kool-Aid. It's refreshing and good and nice and everything. But what's going on here? Why are these people suddenly collapsing?
We'll find out soon enough as we see the entirety of Doma minus 2 people seeming to die because of the poison. And so now we will we finally remember, oh wait, we should check on the king if everyone else is already passing away.
And of course, Cyan's a little too late with his idea of checking on the king, because the king already drank everything.
And then you learn that immediately after that Cyan does have a family. He's a wonderful family man. But fortunately, it was a more sad day.
Alas, his family also drank the purple stuff.
And so this, quite naturally, is going to send him into a berserked rage, where he charges into the Imperial camp in order to face down whoever is responsible for this.
Yes, his demand for justice, unfortunately, gets him into some trouble here, and he attracts much attention. And our own party has to go save his butt. Now, these encounters, we were hoping against hope that we don't get dispatch. Dispatch takes more time to pull off.
Yeah, you're able to get 3 or 4 grunts in the majority of these battles, and unfortunately in this case, Tina did get a 4-pack to start. Hopefully this one will be a simple 3-pack.
I believe the first one's scripted to be 4-pack.
No, it can be a 3-pack as well. I
Really?
was regularly getting 3-pack for that.
Well, she got very lucky with that preemptive, so She
Yep.
gets to that one, and now to the third one.
The third one, I believe, this is the one that has the your cadet in it.
Yes, it does.
So now we're hoping that Cyan would have done a
Dispatch
okay.
here.
Thanks, Puxel. The 4-pack always happens on the step route. That's why. I did not always step route.
Now, since we're out of that gauntlet section, we are going to start stealing these Magitech armors to get out of here. So, we're about to have some fun with this only 2 or 3 times used stats effect.
Yeah, so once again, we are on board with our Magitech armor. Cyan very quickly able to grasp the controls and maintain control of it while running down many soldiers of the Empire. And here, depending on what you choose, I see that Tina is going for the rainbow swag of 1 beam of each color. And these battles are reasonably quick, fairly simple to get through. Your Magitech armor is going to take everything out in a single shot.
But they still can counter you every so often if you get unlucky.
This is true, but you're usually healthy enough to not have to worry about it too much. And now you'll see that what Tina's looking to do is, while attacks are happening, she's been rearranging her inventory, which allows her to save some time, and in the future, when during other battles, she does not have to worry in that case about she doesn't have to worry about making. Why can't I think of anything today? She doesn't have to worry about where things are going to be in the future in other battles when the cursor may have reset to the top.
Yeah, and she got a side attack on that last one, which is very fortunate for her. Now we're back on step route, and we are heading for the forest. The forest here has some very nasty encounters. The ghosts, in particular, have a rough fire attack that can deal around 60 damage to you.
Yeah, and if possible, we always want to try to get encounters with as few sprites on the screen as possible, because you are able to run away more quickly the fewer number of enemies that are on the screen. So by receiving these single ghost attacks, it is much quicker to get out of the fight than it is to end up in the 3 ghost attacks, and much less dangerous because there's only one to do an attack against you.
Alright guys, I gotta just quickly chime in here just for a few minutes here. We got another race starting right now. We got some more commentators in here with us as well. So I'm gonna hope that these commentators can kind of work around each other. So we got Niskaev1 and Scratch Dragon coming in to commentate the Lin 1 versus F Coughlin match, which is going to be starting right away. I'm going to switch over the layout, and I'm going to leave you guys to it.
So we see our friend Tina here entering this train. Why this train's here, we don't know. But it seems to be a yeah, you can't really get off. It's a train taking you to the other side.
All right. So as Tina's making her way nicely through the train, you see that she was taking a few extra steps. That was to help her in order to get a less dangerous encounter. Unfortunately, she did get a pincer attack, but it will definitely help in order to get through everything a little bit more quickly. And to avoid some of the more dangerous fights that do happen to you outside.
Man, sounds like you guys are having so much fun. We decided to bring another race into the mix.
Exhilarating, in fact.
I mean, there could never be enough Final Fantasy VI, right?
Of course not.
Just the I guess the best way of explaining this is now we have our new challengers showing up. F. Coughlin versus Lynn. We're starting off at the beginning here. The other race that we have, tinahacks versus BenShowSly, is still going on. I hope you guys are having a grand old time on the Phantom train over there.
We certainly are. We hope you're having a good time in Narshe.
I mean, what's there to say? We're starting right at the beginning again. Gotta get that Terra up to level 6 after before we move on and try and lead Narshe, right?
Of course.
Oops, when I unmute myself. It's Nitsukai.
Hey, there's my partner in crime.
You know, technology is hard, but you know, our runners, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. So,
And Ben know what they're doing.
they obviously know what they're doing more than we do. I mean, we're just lowly commentators at this point. This is the creme de la creme of the Kefka and Narshe tournament right now.
It is. It's hard when you get to the top 16. All of these runners, they know what you're doing. So you're going to see really small mistakes. Kind of. I lost LCC yesterday by about just 2.5 minutes, which isn't that bad, but you know, 127 and he had a 124.5. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, very casual 124. I still can't believe that run. But for anyone that's just joining us, we're just starting off at the bottom race here with Lynn versus F. Coughlin. We're gonna go ahead and see if both of these runners can go ahead and get the Welk skip. So you want to go over the Welk skip real quick?
Yeah, for sure. So Welk is this really amazing boss that's supposed to teach you about the new battle system and how it works. What we can do though is, you know, people have been in the lab. You're able to hit the Welk twice, and then you're able to counter and cancel with the shell, which sort of and resets his ATB. That we can do 3 missiles per usual, easy peasy. Both runners have Welk, and there you go.
All right, sorry to interrupt you guys, but we got Tina going into the Phantom train. She did have a little bit of bad luck with the with a bomb taking Cyan out.
Yeah, doing around maximum damage for what he had at the time. She does suplex.
We're getting all the joy out of this this Phantom train fight. Suplex, interceptor takedown, and then the Phoenix down to finish it off.
Say it's not a run, chat, unless Sabin pummels. It's down. That do matter.
You had a very close one yesterday, didn't you, Nitz?
Very clutchy, let me tell you.
Oh,
Very
baby.
clutchy.
I don't think I could have squeezed my sphincter any more than when I was watching that. I was there like, oh baby, all the luck. But looks like both these guys are getting through the intro scene here. Nothing really to go on except a little bit of story about our girl Terra. We got 2 more times for her to be in well, amnesia state, so to speak. So for anyone that may have missed it earlier on, we're going to get an opportunity to rename Terra here, and we're going to go ahead and just remove all those extra pesky characters and just leave her as the one character T. We do this because the game actually has what's called scrolling text, which means each character shows up one at a time. So if we remove those 4 characters, we get through text boxes a little bit faster, and it actually adds up quite a bit over the course of the game.
For the breaking, guys, Ben just got himself blazed by bombs and lost 7.
That sounds a little tricky for suplex. You can't really suplex a train if you're dead, right? Or what is it in this game? Is it wounded?
Yes.
Yeah, I do believe it's wounded. I think 4 is swoon.
Okay, so just while Ben goes ahead and gets himself over to the front of the train, we're gonna go back to our Lynn versus F. Coughlin race here. Terra's gonna go ahead and fight these fights here and get the level 6, which is gonna lead to some very slick manipulation, because our characters that join our party is based on our average party level. So because we have Terra, we want to get her to level 6, so our next party member will join at level 7.
You got BenShow entering with his Phantom Train fight now.
And Tina, unfortunately, took an extra step someplace and is getting grasshoppers, which will throw off her step route on the belt.
One nice quick fight for BenShow to get himself out of the fight.
Unfortunate pincer for F. Coughlin here. It's frame based, so unless you can see the frames, it obviously didn't see the frames. So this is going to slow him down. 3-second loss. He's already through to the next fight, so definitely interesting to see how he might recover from that.
Yeah, it sucks to get the pincers in this part of the game, because Terra can actually multicast fire, which is pretty nice, but when you're in a pincer, you can't multicast on both sides of the screen, so you actually have to cast fire one at a time there.
Attack, just to save, I guess it's not a...
Alright, so now we've got Tina moved into the Piranha and Razapass fight on the waterfall. So here we're going to be doing a little bit of a glitch in order to set off Cyan doing an obscene amount of damage and skipping a cutscene, or skipping a trigger that would force us to fight Razapass. So as we see, we've already killed off Cyan. Alright, Tina's already killed off Cyan and has brought him back to life. Now, in this case, once he's back to life, if he uses Retort after having died, it does something wonky with the AI of what it triggers based off of. And now it triggers off of everything. So once we attempt to suplex a Piranha that can't be suplexed, he triggers his attack and swings through, and it ends the fight instead of summoning Razapass. Or more Piranhas.
Fun fact, this is actually new for this tournament. The first time through, this wasn't found, so just...
Right, so I don't know who actually ended up finding that, but it's the trigger, it gets all confused because, believe it or not, Retort is actually a magic attack, and then Blitz is a physical attack. And when you manage to do both at the same time, the game gets confused and just ends the fight. I don't blame it. I would be confused too if I found out Retort was magic. Meanwhile, back
just it's more cutscenes on Lynn and Epcot. Narshe. To see.
Well, I mean, there's a treasure hunter over there. I mean, some call him a thief, but I mean, I would call that just slander, and I would sue them.
Agree with you there. So we're going to do just like we did with Terra there, drop them down to one character. Usually L. Sometimes if use us there, you get rid of the L, you just get an A. Everybody's happy.
I got Tina with an unfortunate battle on the Veld with the Lobo Guard battle pincer. Thankfully, you can't get Gao in it anyway. Is it one?
Yes, the one from Narshe.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a little bit off because of the fact that she did get the grasshoppers, but
the first two fights are always going to be those two. If she was on step route, even if she got grasshoppers.
If she gets grasshoppers, the first fight changes, right? Because it doesn't become brawlers; it becomes the other things, I believe.
Yeah, she had Ammonite, or I don't even know what it was. The river battle.
Okay.
She's gonna actually have 3 bombs and I believe.
Right, because the step route is slightly off, where unfortunately she would end up getting the 3 bombs and the 3 ghosts. I believe it's 3 ghosts then 3 bombs, but
I might have had the order wrong.
I'm not sure myself, so we'll just have to wait and see. Oh, incorrect. We're wrong altogether. It's 3 grasshoppers.
You know, hey. But we do see Lynn here just getting into the martial fight, and much easy peasy. Use Mog. Sure he doesn't get netted, basically, and it's not difficult, that's for sure.
Yeah, actually, the most difficult part, I would say, would just be making sure we took our time and took off the mithril pike, and your optional, if you wanted it, the mithril shield.
Here we're showing Tina with some good luck in a first encounter that she wanted to see Gao. She ended up managing to get him.
It should be stated that Gao showing up in given battles 5/8 chance, and unlike one of our other runners this morning, who had to wait 4 battles to get Gao, it can be very finicky.
You definitely don't want 4th try Gao.
Yeah, it gets kind of complicated after the route. You get a ghost, a bomb, and then you get the mammoth fight in the 3rd one, and that fight's just terrible with just Cyan and Sabin, because it has a no running flag, much like it did when in Narshe. So you have to kill all of them, and they can actually do quite a bit of damage and actually wipe your team. Meanwhile, back on Lynn and F. Coughlin's side, they're just making their way down to Figaro here. And if you notice, they're walking a little on the overworld. They walk in a very specific order because they're actually on. And while they're on step route, on the world map, they want to walk over these non-encounter tiles. Those tiles actually prevent the threat level from going up, so we kind of any of those as we can to of encounters we would get overall in a run.
Also, the way that we walk is really important, because as you see on F. Coughlin's side, he didn't walk perfectly. He got Leafer and Darkwind, which means when he gets later on, it's harder to run with more enemies on the screen. Just the way the game is set up, so that's a little bit more time on Lynn versus that.
Yep, so we're just coming up to our buddy E here, and we're gonna go through a little bit of story. But how's it going over at Tina and Ben show side, boys?
Ben started with a
Ben,
little bit of bad luck, having Gao appear on his first battle, but then he got lucked out in his first battle after getting the dried meat. He's also gotten it, so he's just into the Gao cutscene, and
he is about to enter into the Serpent's Trench.
So, what would you guys say is the most difficult part of the Serpent Trench? I mean, I've been through it a few times myself, and I have my own personal opinions, but I would like to hear what you guys think about it.
I'd like to say that the constantly evolving change in the formations, with if you're getting a side back attack or a preemptive on from the enemy.
the
Right.
scariness of any of the pincer attacks that are generally the scariest part to me. Uh, but for the most, good luck with the, not necessarily in the matter of not losing characters, but making it out with like an inch of health. Like, I think I had my last character down to critical health like 3 or 4 times and made it through just fine.
Right. I've had a couple of occasions with that myself.
Did said it in chat. Aqua Rake. The first enemy nation in the trench is a single angler form. Single enemies seem to act very aggressive and can cast something called Aqua Rake, which can totally wipe your party just because we're super low level. That's always a danger to me, and should be potentially a danger to any runner.
Yeah, I've had a couple runs myself where I had the single Aqua form, and it was a back attack, so we managed to get off Aqua Rake immediately, and it bodies Cyan and Sabin and Gao, if they're at full life, can survive it, but then you have to worry about the second fight, which, because in the Serpent Trench you're not allowed to heal in between fights.
Yeah, you have to wait for the cave. Because you do pick the right path and then the left path when given the option to switch paths in the Serpent Trench in order to get the fastest way through. And obviously a little bit of safety by taking that right path in order to get yourself into the cave where you can heal up in case you do get a bad Anglerform fight with Aqua Rakes or whatever.
The first right path is actually incredibly shorter than the second right path, so it saves quite a bit of time instead of just going into that fight. But back to our Lynn F. Coughlin match, we're back at the castle. I'm sure we've been here before. Gonna go ahead and just do some more story triggers over here. Funny story about Final Fantasy VI. For people who play RPGs and watch speedruns of RPGs, they may not notice that movement actually matters quite a bit. Moving optimally is very important to save a lot of time. So just trying to make sure you don't walk into walls and just sit there for a second or come across NPCs and stuff like that. So one of the small optimizations that get these guys down to these like really low times, the 125s and the 124s, a lot of it can actually be attributed to that.
So that you don't bonk a wall and change the NPC value so that clock in a race lose about 10 seconds, that sort of thing.
Maybe, but so here it's looking like Tina got through the Serpent Trench all right, but just got to pick up the smoke bombs, and I believe she picked up the Mithril Pike.
Yeah,
She did
purchased the Mithril Pike and 21 smoke bombs, so she's got plenty for the rest of the run.
Tina's used to no sketch, so she's probably just used to buying as many smoke bombs.
Yeah, she was also pausing, thinking about getting echo screens, and I think she had to stop herself.
Yeah, for anyone on our side, you saw her send lockdown to the second position. This is for later in the cave that we're going back through, because there's a monster in there called Gold Bear. If you can do a pincer attack, you want to be facing it, because it has a ability called Gouge, and if you're facing away from it, it will one-shot you.
Yeah, there is that that danger of the one shot from it.
Of all the great programming that this game has, that's the one thing they actually got correct. If you get attacked from behind, it does more damage. Imagine that.
Ooh, that is an unfortunate poison that Tina is taking. Hopefully she's got an antidote in her inventory, because nobody wants to walk through the cave with with poison.
It's funny in this game, when you poison walk inside, you can barely see, but when you're poison walk...
Nice little heartbeat walking through the world map, walking through some open field. Sounds really fun.
What's happening on your guys' side?
We have a castle that seems to be going under the sand. I'm not quite sure. I think it was on fire, but these are the minor details right now.
Our first real look at our protagonist, or antagonist, I should say, Kefka, basically sending Bebop and Rocksteady out to try and take care of our intrepid group there.
Bebop.
Edgar has this super OP ability called Auto Crossbow. Take him out in 2 shots, baby.
Yep. Bebop and Rocksteady. I would like to think that's Vix and Wedge. They just came back from vacation after getting sent away by Welk.
Now, we have here on Tina's side, her using a Thunder Rod on this boss. It basically, the rods pierce defense and are super OP, in matter of fact. So, bing bang boom, it's done. And we're off.
Never thought that being Vix and Wedge comes back.
Well, it is a pair of M-Tech armors, and they are wearing the same uniform.
I mean, I was just convinced that they got pushed into Final Fantasy VIII. You meet Biggs and Wedge there, since I'm sure that's what they were meant to be named.
Maybe.
Of course.
Maybe. But we'll have to theory craft that later on here. These guys are moving on to the cave to South Figaro. They're going to go ahead and they're going to take these encounters here and try and get their experience up. The levels we actually want, if you guys remember. Party members join at the average party level plus modifier. We want our party to be Edgar at level 10, Locke at level 9, and Terra at level 8. That way our next party member will actually join at the average, which is 10 plus 1, which will be level 11. And they will come with a special move that will be very helpful later on in the game. So luckily our auto crossbow will just one-shot these enemies. So nothing really to see here. I believe that Tina and Ben are moving on in the scenario part right now.
Yes, Tina is entering the Narshe mines in a few moments, and Ben is right in South Figaro Cave, the block.
All right. We never got a chance to go over it. So would you guys like to explain how they managed to get out of South Figaro without actually doing the scenario?
Yes, I'll explain. Basically, due to us having the sprint shoes, we are able to move into position quickly enough where, if we time it right, we can clip through the guard and just leave town.
Yeah, as we discussed earlier, this is how Locke is able to get in front of Terra, even though you walk through the door first. He just clips through her and goes about his business.
What a cheater.
Because the game's, such great quality coding, the game doesn't freak out. It's nice.
Depends on your definition of freak out, but then again, we do funny things to this game, so I don't blame it at all.
So right now we got Tina going through the security room. Now with the tagging the light is very simple if you're facing north. All you have to do is hold down A as soon as you start to trigger it, and you will automatically tap it on the first frame that you're able to. And you won't have to do the fight. You can skip the rest of the that little maze.
Just wanted to note for Lynn vs. F. Coughlin that F. Coughlin is not on Step Route. I'm not sure exactly. So he did not get the proper encounters in Cave. So I'm curious how he's going to rectify that issue. Just one thing.
I don't know if I saw him actually set it up at the beginning of the race. That would just have to be something we would have to go back and take a look at. But meanwhile, Lynn is picking up the Atlas armor. So the enemies in Mount Coates is a little bit stronger than what we're actually leveled to be. So we grab the Atlas armor to increase strength, which in return also increases the amount of damage auto crossbow does, which is very nice for what we need here.
Seeing Lynn fighting those brawlers. It's what he's up to there.
I believe he does that if he gets a good ATB with Edgar here instead of running away. That way you could just get the turn off and just end the fight immediately.
All right, now we've got Tina going into the final cutscene before the multi-party battle to finally bring us to our final fight of the race. And BenShow is entered into Narshe and going through the caves right now, making his way back.
Yep.
Just entering security room. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just going to give a small explanation for those who may just be joining us or joined us halfway through the race right now. We are doing the Kefka at Narshe tournament. This is the intro category for Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is actually a pretty long game if you play some of the other categories. So if there are people who want to, just get started or just is learning how to play the game now or would like to learn how to play the game, this would be the category. Clock's pretty average. The average time is like an hour and a half. And for tournament purposes, it's a lot less of a time commitment than a 3-hour or 6-hour run. So if you want to get a feel for Final Fantasy VI and maybe you would be interested in learning maybe part of the game and see if you want to be interested in learning the entire game, I would recommend starting with Kefka at Narshe.
It's definitely a very fun little run to introduce you to what you're going to be kind of doing when you're going through any kind of an RPG speedrun anyway.
Also, Who is this Kudam character that we see on our screen? Valdecorn?
It's the general. It's one of the Imperial generals who's turned traitor.
Not recall seeing her before.
Oh, no, she torched Miranda. I heard about her.
Did she now?
Yep.
Guys.
Everybody's claiming she's an Imperial spy, so...
Do not look at the man behind the curtain. We see Lynn just about to roll up to Vargas here. I think he has his levels. I think he's running away, so I would say he's
Yep, I would actually be very surprised if this was one of the things that Lynn had a issue with. Lucky preemptive here. Nope, it looks like he's going to take this last fight here, and this will probably get Locke and Terra the last. Oh no, just got the preemptive and killed them. Okay, so that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and heal up.
Lynn with the hot tech. What can I say?
Well, I mean, if anyone ended up watching the race from last night, they'll know that these top racers just managed to get every frame for every preemptive.
I think we'll throw it over to the top match as they're coming towards the end there, and there's nothing really to see on our side.
Yeah, Tina safety save just in case something goes wrong with Kefka, and she split up her party into the 3 ways with Locke being excluded. He's not important for this part. And basically, we just have our main kill group, which is of our powerhouses: Edgar, Sabin, and the lesser powerhouses Cyan and Gao.
Yeah, and they are intentionally put into Group 2 in order to make the movement a little bit faster, so we can sneak past this first set of guards and move into a spot in order to move past the second set of guards as well. In doing this, we don't have to fight any of the actual other battles, and there is enough time for you to walk all the way up here and all the way back down before you have to continue on. And now let's see if she avoids the rider. Most people, once you're at this level, tend to be able to pretty consistently, but you never know sometimes.
She is reaching for second turn, getting off Sabin's first attack.
Yeah. The idea here is that we do want to avoid allowing Kefka to get too many attacks in before you do manage to beat him, because otherwise you do end up in a very dangerous spot where he can potentially ice to your entire party and instantly kill everyone, especially since the one person that usually would survive, Sabin, is not at maximum health.
He did get a poison, and Tina is done. Looks like she got off without getting a third turn. And for Tina, we have an official SRL time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 16 seconds.
Yeah, very nice run for Tina. Well done.
Well done indeed.
Now we got Ben just finishing up the cutscene. Gonna do, it looks like, his own safety save as well. And get ready to prepare himself for that final fight.
Yep, congratulations to Tina. She ends up taking her first win of the top 16. Let's throw Ben some energy so he can finish up strong here. Meanwhile, and in our other race here, it looks like Lynn is he's blazing through right now. He managed to get to the returner's hideout, and it looks like Fred just finished up the Vargas fight.
I was watching. There was nothing of real significance. Lim didn't get Doomfist skip, but when you have a 31:18 Vargas time,
I mean, who's gonna complain?
exactly.
Alright, we got Ben moving into the Kefka fight now. Bringing it in. Seems to be properly weight tricking. Oh, you clicked a little bit too quickly and picked the wrong thing for Gao, but hopefully it works out for him.
And Ben getting poisoned on Edgar.
Nice